All right. So I I make testimonies, and I'm gonna continue to make testimonies as I'm watching them. You know, I'm glad I had the chance to at least make those videos before I can't. But I noticed that sometimes when I speak a little fast, but it's also it's long enough that everything is properly said and explained. One thing I noticed, and it's not something I noticed, is these people can create a nonsensical way of perceiving things. I'm listening to my testimony, and there's many, like I gotta go back, but I end up explaining it, and you get what I'm trying to say. But they try to like take points and create these these stories to create this BS. I said many times, these people have been warning me that they're gonna frame me, right? They've been warning me that they're gonna implant child porn and they're gonna do this and that. In one of my video, I said that I tried to I explained that how they force people to see child porn, and the way they force it is in the I don't say that in the video, but they force it in the mind at least. So that's what I'm trying to explain. So specifically, let me see. I'm talking about, sorry, I'm talking about something I've said before, and this is that. And as I'm saying right now, as I'm speaking right now, they try to get me to.
US torture prisons. 7. Homosexual acts on each other against their will and religion in order not to be beaten or killed. This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Almost all target individuals are forced to see child pornography in their mind. But I say in the video, I said something they force people to see child pornography, and I don't finish up, because I'm talking, but obviously you get what I'm trying to say throughout the video. But these people, they're like, oh, so you actually watch child pornography, right? Because what they're doing is they tell me they warning me they're gonna implant child porn, and they're gonna be like, oh, so you're saying that uh we force you to watch it. No, they force people to think in that way, right? I've said it many times, and throughout the video you hear what I'm saying. And that's what they do, and I've said many times, you go back even 2020, you hear me say that they try to frame you, they'll try to frame you. They're saying, sorry, they're trying to frame, and warning me that they're gonna put child porn on my computer or do something of that nature. I've said that many times. You're gonna hear a bunch of my videos saying that, mentioning that. But something they've been doing, trying to create, uh it's this. On once I saw this browser on my computer. It's called Tor browser. And I remember seeing that, and it was like downloaded on March 2020. And during that time, I was sending letters to different newspapers, right? I would think not. I didn't know about Target Individual. I knew something would happen to me, and I wanted to let all this kind of newspaper know about what's going on. Right? I was reaching out to all the different newspaper, and I looked at one of the letters as I was sending, and it seemed like the last time it was modified was in June or something like that. And they were like, "Oh, you see, use Tor browser to download child porn because it was downloaded in March 2020. It was do something like that, because what they're trying to do is they try to implant child porn and try to make it seem like it's like like I did it. They talk about implanting child porn. Now, at this point, everybody have made clear that these people are filled with pedophiles. These people have probably child porn on deck, ready to do, because a lot of these people have issues in these agencies with downloading child porn by the thousands. So I won't be surprised if they like implant some of that. I was talking to this guy, you know, interviewing this person, and you can see this is like typical, like woke like intellectual young men, young adults, early 20s or so, mid to early 20s. And he's saying all these different things like, oh, they're gonna find it, and I mean, like, they try to insert their thing, and I'm looking at it, it's like, you're a bunch of low life pedophiles, you're a bunch of pedos, and you know they're disgusting, and so they're not like saying that, oh, like, you're going, did you know, I don't know, but I have no idea what Tor browser was until I needed for secure drop. And the reason why I got Tor browser is this, right? I send a letter, and I'm gonna make a, and by the way, this letter, because when you send a secure drop, right, is a secure drop is where you send information, and it's anonymous, and those newspaper gives you instruction to do this, right? And this is how I know. I'm not a technical person in that sense. I don't know much about torrent, tor browsers, all these things is not something I don't know much about, honestly. I know basic, like Google and Bing, and I don't know this torrent, tor, whatever. The only way, like, I can figure this out is if I get, like I'm, there's like instructions of some sort. But listen, although this child porn BS is what these people are into. In March, there was also, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not perfect. Although this child porn, this pedophilia thing is what these people are into, and this is what they've tried to make you accept. There was this OnlyFans link, huge leak in March of 2020, and I'm not gonna lie, I did go to those OnlyFans leak, but I don't believe I needed to get this Tor browser thing. I think there was a link that sends you to a certain place. I don't think so. And the thing is, when you send a secure drop to whatever, they give you a code, and I took picture of that code, but my phone is not working. I tried to get this phone fixed, but I went to get it checked. They were supposed to call me back, never got a call back, because it was a whole thing. I was like, I'm not gonna stress, I'm not gonna pay for it. It's just like I'm not gonna spend more money on it, right? But here's the email I was sending during that time, the letter, and listen to that, and listen how stupid their logic is, right? For them to even try to make you think this makes sense. So I was during that time I was sending. I didn't know I was a target individual, but I knew something happened since August 19th, 2019. I didn't know exactly what it was. I didn't know there was such things as a target individual, but I kept reaching out to people because I thought maybe news, like, people should know about it. I should, talk to different news, or like the New York Times, the Guardians, and I sent it to a bunch to Vice. Oh, I didn't know this already, so I sent it to a bunch of people. And this letter was modified a few times, but I'm gonna give you what I sent. Of course, I kind of xed out a lot of the information. I realized I was giving all the information about who I was, where I was living, and this and that. Like, I gave all, but you know I was desperate to get this information out. So this is what I sent. Let me see. So
Greetings. My name is X, and I currently live in New York City. I'm reaching out to you because I'm hoping my story will be told and some justice will be found. My story starts in late 2013 when I started working for a company called X, based in X. You might be familiar with the company since the New York Times wrote an article about the owners of the company. The article was titled X. This was my first real job out of college, and I joined the SEM digital marketing team, which is within the circulation department, led by X, one of the top vice president of the company. I spent X years and 8 months working there, and early on I knew I was not the most welcomed, but I stayed around to gain experience. So when I leave, I would have more job options. I would say I was not a good fit for the company culture-wise, which rubbed a few people within the department the wrong way. XXX and other members of the department started a campaign to get me out of there. But what makes this unique and extremely wrong is how they went about it. This is where the story becomes bizarre and hard to believe. After years of reaching out to my managers, X/X/X, and trying to figure out what was going on, I just decided to resign in August of 2018. At that point, I thought I left the X drama behind, which consists of nonstop scrutiny and odd behavior from coworkers and others within the company. As I move on, I started applying for jobs in Chicago where I resided at the time. In October, I was able to find employment for a company called X within the marketing team. After 3 weeks, I left the company after noticing the same behavior I experienced at X. At that point, I became suspicious that X is somehow reaching out to my current employer, so I left the company a month after I started working there. Luckily, I was able to find employment in January as a XX, managing SEM account for South Africa, Hong Kong, India, Colombia. I was excited about this position and was looking forward to start working with X. But within a few days, I noticed the same behavior I experienced at X. While I was dealing with that, my personal life was dwindling. My girlfriend at the time and my immediate family were all acting strange. I felt like I was being watched in my own home and hired somebody to check for hidden cameras or bugs in my apartment. I talked to my girlfriend at the time and asked what was going on, and no clear answers was given. I tried to get some answers from my family, and they all seemed to not want to reveal anything. Shortly after, one of my sisters attempted suicide. This happened amid my breakup with Rebecca. So, with all that going with my life, I was certain something terrible deriving from my ex days was not only following me, but was also impacting my personal life. I'm very aware of X long reach, and I know they have contacts in high places and can make life difficult for anybody they do not like. I did step on some toes that somebody of my stature should never have dared, unless one has a solid support system, which I didn't have. I decided to quit X and find employment in New York City, hoping the reach of X or whatever entity they've been using would not be impactful in New York City. I found a job within 2 weeks at a media agency called X. The first few days X were great, then things started to change. My superior seemed to find any excuse to be unhappy about me and my performance. I decided to stick around until I get an apartment and keep searching for the right employment. I was able to find an apartment with 2 other roommates via roomz.com. Soon as I got the apartment, I left the agency and started to look for a new job. That's where things became extremely weird. I would go to a coffee shop to work on my job search, and a group of people, mostly women, would follow and stare. That kept happening until I decided to stay home, and the roommates and neighbors started to behave differently. My roommates, which I barely know, would act irrational toward me, although we barely interacted. On August 19, 2019, something unimaginable happened to me. Before I go on about what happened on that day, I want to say that I'm aware of how crazy and far-fetched this will sound like. On that day, I started hearing voices in my head like somebody put a bug in my brain and was able to communicate through my brain. I was not scared to hear the voice, but it felt surreal. At first, they asked a few random questions about my sexuality, or if I was a psychopath. Then they told me I was going to be deported. Based on those questions, I assumed it was some kind of Homeland Security entity. But as the day kept going, the question changed. They started asking about some of my delinquent activity as a 14-year-old middle schooler in 2001 that I have forgotten. In the evening, the conversation became more sinister. Whoever I was interacting with in my brain let me know that I will suffer for the rest of my life for what I have done, and the best thing I should do is to kill myself. At that point, I believed I was going crazy, but when I doubted my sanity, loud poundings on my wall, coming from the neighboring apartment, would confirm and signify that whatever was said in my brain was in fact real and not the figment of my imagination. Since that day, my mind has not been the same. Feels as my brain is being manipulated, and I'm having issues processing and controlling my brain reaction, and it feels like I have no control of my brain. I'm unable to think like I used to, and I feel like my brain has been submerged with horrible images. I'm unable to articulate everything that is going on in my brain, but I know everybody around me is aware of what's been done to me and are participating in it. I know what I'm saying is quite unbelievable, but know my story needs to be told, or I should at least attempt to tell it. To be clear, I'm saying my brain was hacked, meaning whoever did it is able to read my mind, manipulate my brain, and let other access it. I know what I'm saying is hard to believe, but I'm sure if you ask around, XTH and
So it goes on and said, if you ask around this place, they should tell you, and you should investigate. I don't want to continue because I didn't block out my name a few times there. Uh, so this is was sent. I was sending this throughout 2020, from early 2020 to summer 2020, nonstop. Um, and the way I was sending this is using the secure drafts, right? Sending it through, I believe, this here,
page below matches, or New York Times. Secure or New York
using
Times.
these instructions.
Provided on New York Times' landing page below matches, or New York Times. SecureDrop.tour.onion before continuing. This helps ensure you are visiting a legitimate SecureDrop instance. See our source guide for more information on SecureDrop usage and risks. If you encounter a mismatch, make sure to report an error here. Ensure that the .onion address provided on New York Times' landing page below matches, or New York Times. SecureDrop.tour.onion before continuing. This helps ensure you are visiting a legitimate secure drop instance. See our source guide for more information on secure drop usage and risks. If you encounter a mismatch, make sure to report an error here. This could be evidence of an attempted attack, or it could be a simple failure to communicate between an organization running secure drop and Freedom of the Press Foundation. In either case, we will investigate the matter and establish a path to resolution. Here's what you need to do to download Tor browser to be anonymous online. Go to https://www.torproject.org.
So those were the instructions to download this thing. Now, um, they're trying to make me think that I was downloading this thing to do like. Can you? So as you can see in my letters throughout 2020, I'm saying since August 19, 2019, I've been things have changed, and it appears that everybody around knows about it. Seems like people are watching me and hacking me and are manipulating me to experience what I see. I send those to like bunch of newspapers and everything else. Right? I'm saying that everybody's watching me and this is happening and people are manipulating me. And these people are saying, but no, what you did, right, is you download this browser to download child porn. So they're saying that during the time I'm saying everybody's watching me and manipulating me, that's when I'm gonna start downloading child porn on this Tor browser that I never heard about before, that I don't even know about. And they're like, and they were acting to the. I mean, it was embarrassing. Like this guy comes, oh, we got the cookie. I start calling him Cookie Man. Oh, we got the cookie. We got proof. Listen, I know they're gonna do some nasty things, and they're trying to make it seem like it's me. These people are childlike. They almost like on the spectrum, and they're like, "Oh, we got the cookie. We got it's our server. We got." No, you guys are a bunch of pedophiles because these people are truly are pedophiles. You see, when you hear things like that, which I'm gonna continue to play over and over, and they like, cool, don't know, try to like uh counter it. I'm not gonna do that till I die. I'm not.
The best way to boost your energy
Sorry,
and
this
stay
is
young
ads.
is not drinking coffee, not doing cardio, and it's definitely not eating. And Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind those computer screens within the walls of Langley, within the Pentagon, and throughout the broader intelligence community?
Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency?
So you understand these people are very pedophilia centric, and they are just trying to find ways to make me think that there's even that it makes sense. If they're gonna implant child porn, I'm not gonna let them live their fantasy. Like this, you guys are filled with pedophiles, and they were trying to play the feminist kind of like we're a bunch of women, so that makes sense. Hold on, hear this. And I know that they've normalized it. They've made it thing like this is okay, but I want them to really uh, be really okay with how pedophilia centric they are.
Really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, you should be shot in the face. Sound like an angry ass old person. Then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Oh, get shot in the face. Stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the voices go, it's a bunch of females. And I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow this to go on?
This is the people who do what they come up with the stories. They just sold their soul to pedophiles. Now, if they're gonna try to normalize it in their ways, I'm not gonna let that happen. It's like you guys are pedos. You sold to pedophile. So I'm on when I'm on a call and having interviews with these people and talking to them, and they're trying to just be, and they're like, "Oh, I did it. Oh, it's not fair." It's like, no, it's fair. That's people with pedophilia issue will do these manipulations, will come up with these narrations, and would warn you that they're going to implant child porn and then try to make you believe. No, no, no. You see, that's coming up with the stories while trying to maintain this progressive facade. Not with me. Thank you, God. I could live life doing what they do. Try to be okay with that. They say it's our porn. Okay, please continue to live like that. Watch how this shit, watch how this thing comes back. And they're like, no, you're nothing. I was like, so where is something that does what you do? What would you call something that does what you do? Or somebody that does what you do? They like cry. I'm like, hey, please, I'd rather cry like this woman and children cry than do what you guys do. Trash that sold your soul to pedophiles that do horrible things to kids. And they try to sound menacing. Death comes to all of us. These people will tell me will cry over nothing. Trash. Torturing kids and everything and call other people nothing. They are nothing. What kind of something do what they do? At first you fall for this stupidity, for this nonsensical, and they try to sound menacing because what they do, they're gonna really torture me, and I'm not scared. Well, I don't want to be tortured. I'm gonna scream probably. I'm gonna feel pain. But can you imagine doing what they do? The bottom feeders for these pedos. And try to use different, and with me they use different languages to try to make it seem like different. No, you guys are pedophiles and you do horrible things to kids. You sold your soul to these pedos. And by the way, I know who put me in this program. And I know it's not you guys. This letters was actually, I was more right than I thought. I had no idea about this target individual situation, but I knew somebody from my old employer put me in this program. And I had the facade was to try to play all the feminists, and this is 2020 before I found out about any of this, about this target individual. So I know me saying these things makes them feel more annoyed and willing to do more things. So this is an honorable death. Trash, pedos, cowards. I rather suffer than having to live like something like them. So to all my target individuals, these narrations and stories they come up with to try to make you accept these things are nonsensical. Stay strong and know who you are and know these people are just bottom feeders, no matter how they sound.